Hello guys, this is What About Nintendo, and today I'm here to talk about why I think Nintendo could be announcing a brand new IP for the Nintendo Switch pretty soon. Let's get right on into it. So guys, with all this talk about an April Nintendo Direct and the fact that E3 is just about 68 days away, has me thinking about what kind of games Nintendo could be announcing. And my thought was, could they announce a new IP? Obviously, Splatoon was released in 2015 to great success. It was an absolutely amazing game, sold just millions upon millions of copies on the Wii U. Obviously, the Wii U did terribly, so to see something hit, in the millions, I think it hit over 4 or 5 million copies sold. I'll probably have the specific number here so you guys can see. But it sold a lot, it sold really well, and it did really well for them, and I think a lot of people, assumed that they were going to do many more new IPs after this and try new things to capture that same success, and 2 years later, Nintendo did just that. They made ARMS in 2017 as a brand new fighting game IP, and it did relatively well. Again, I'll have the sales numbers here so you guys can see, because I don't have them on the top of my head, but it did do pretty well. It did not do as well as Splatoon, definitely not as well as Splatoon 2 either, but it did well in its own way for a a brand new IP. Splatoon was just kind of one of those games that just did absolutely insanely well for a new IP, so to judge it compared to Splatoon is not completely fair, because compared to most other new IPs, it actually did really well. And now it has been 2 years since ARMS came out, or it's nearing the 2-year mark, and so my question is, could Nintendo be announcing a new IP pretty soon here? And I think there's a very good chance of the same thing. Nintendo themselves has said that they wanted to make many new IPs this generation. I think it's a great way to just get the Switch to be in a good place. If you can get more successes like Splatoon, it's always a good thing, obviously. And I think people on the Switch are really willing to look at brand new experiences and try them out. As long as it's a quality game, it just seems to sell. People are really interested in new experiences, so I could definitely see Nintendo doing this. As I said, it's been 2 years since their last new IP, and so it feels like it's about time. Now, as far as what genres I think that they could tackle for a new IP, I think there are 3 distinct genres that they really haven't tapped into yet. There is the MMO genre, there is the first-person shooter genre, and there is stealth shooter genre. Now, of course, there are probably many other genres they could tap into, MOBA games and different things like that they haven't really done before. Maybe they could make a new take on a genre they've already done before, and they could make it, new and unique and interesting. And I'm not saying that, if they're going to make a new IP, it has to be one of these 3, but these are kind of the ones that I thought were interesting. MMOs, I think, is probably unlikely just due to the fact that I feel like an existing IP might be better for an MMO than a brand new IP, but then again, maybe you would have thought that something for Mario Sunshine theming would have been good for Splatoon, and they didn't do that. So there's Nintendo, they like to take risks there on new IPs. A first-person shooter also is something that I feel like Nintendo typically doesn't do, but I'm not saying that a first-person shooter or a stealth shooter has to be like Call of Duty or Battlefield or anything like that. It doesn't have to be a realistic first-person shooter or a realistic stealth shooter. It could be something cartoony like Splatoon, or something maybe it is realistic, but maybe not completely realistic. Maybe more like a semi-realistic art style like Zelda or something. Who knows what they could do, but I think that they could find interesting and unique ways to take all 3 of these genres to a whole new level like they did with Splatoon. Now, as far as when this is announced, I think that they could announce it pretty soon. Obviously, the April Nintendo Direct is coming up. Well, most likely, people are assuming, I'm assuming that an April Direct's gonna come. We get an April Direct pretty much every year. especially when you have one in February. I feel like we usually get 2 directs before E3. April seems like a really good time for that, so I'm kind of banking on that. Of course, it's not confirmed, but we could see it in an April direct. Now, if we do see an April direct, I think there's a good possibility that it could release in May. Well, typically this may be a little bit too soon for a new game, maybe even a new IP, because maybe you want a little bit more time to really tell people what it's all about. I think it depends on the type of game. If this is a bigger budget game, maybe it's super crazy and super unique and something you really have to get your mind wrapped around, maybe May is a little bit too early, but it could also be something that's a little bit lower scale, maybe something that's a little bit easier to understand, and they could get it out in May. And we've seen them announce games and release them within about a month's window, like they're doing with Labo VR. So it's not completely out of the realm of possibilities that they could release a new IP in May, though I'm not saying it's very likely. Another option is that they announce it in an April direct, and then they release it sometime later this year. However, I'm thinking this is also not very likely, as this year is going to be absolutely packed with games in big, well-known franchises like Luigi's Mansion, Animal Crossing, and Pokemon, and I really don't think you want to put a new IP up against those caliber of games. I feel like it just wouldn't do that well. Maybe there's a spot in their lineup where they could fit it in away from those kind of games and get people to get interested in it, but I'm not sure how likely that actually is. So for me, if they do announce a new IP soon, I think it would actually be at E3. Typically at E3, you see a lot of info for games that are coming out in the year of that E3. So, it's 2019, probably mostly be focusing on 2019 games. However, every E3, even though Nintendo says they're focusing on the current year, they always show at least like 1 or 2 games that are coming out the following year, typically earlier in the year, and I think this new IP may be something like that. Maybe we'll see in spring 2020. Spring is usually a very slow time for games. I think if there's ever going to be a slow section of the year where Nintendo might want to release a new IP, I think spring 2020 might be a good time for them. Announce it at E3 as one of their 2020 games, release it spring 2020 when there's not too much going on, and I think you'll have a good window to release a new IP. And that gives them plenty of time to show it off in multiple different directs and different things like that. Really get you to know everything about it and really get you hyped for it, because it's a new IP. People aren't going to be sold on it right away like they are going to be for Mario and Zelda, so maybe you need a little bit more time to really explain why the game is worth getting. But yeah, guys, that's just what I think. Let me know down in the comments below, guys, if you think we could be seeing a brand new IP from Nintendo soon. Do you think we'll get one in the April Direct? Do you think we'll maybe get one announced at E3? When do you think it will release? Maybe you think we're not going to get one, maybe even till next year. Maybe it won't even be announced. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, as well as what genre of game you'd like to see Nintendo tackle next. Anyways, guys, if you like this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that bell icon for notifications of all my videos. And please, if you would, share this video with everyone you know, because it really does help out this channel a lot, and I really appreciate it. So yeah, guys, I'll see all you awesome people later on What About Nintendo. Bye!